How you doing today? I want to talk to you about zero clearance inserts for your saw. Table saw, miter saw, let's go. How you doing? I'm Matt with 731woodworks.com. Today, we're talking zero clearance inserts for your saw. I'm going to show you a couple that I use. I've bought one and I'm going to put it on the new Delta miter saw and see if it makes a difference. It's a very simple, cheap fix and we're going to try it out. Brother Riv suggested it to me. I ordered the zero clearance tape on Amazon and we're going to try it out. So a zero clearance insert for a table saw or a miter saw does a couple of things. It makes your saw safer and it makes cleaner, nicer cuts. One of the first things I did when I got my Delta 36725 table saw was to get a zero clearance insert for it. And the reason why is because when you make those small cuts, if you're cutting just the edge off the piece of wood, that little splinter piece or that little strip, say if I was cutting a 3/4 inch strip off, it would fall down in the saw and get hung either under the blade or down in that dust collection chute and cause trouble later. Same thing with the miter saw. Cut that small piece off, it falls down in there and it just gets stuck. And then the next thing you know, when you lower that miter saw and you go a little deeper than normal, or you get so much stuff piled up in there, when you drop that blade in there, it catches that piece that's been in there for 3 days and then slings it up and it makes a loud racket and you think you done broke something. Zero clearance inserts also help a nice clean cut. It keeps it from splintering as much and just makes your cut look a lot nicer. First, let's talk about the Delta table saw, the zero clearance insert I have on there. So I actually bought this zero clearance insert. A guy on Instagram, he's actually pretty big now. His name is Tools Today on Instagram. You may have seen him. At one time, he was Got Wood Shop and he was making these in his shop and I bought one. It was very inexpensive, $25 or so. So it's made out of MDF. It came with the riving knife slot already in it, and then you just insert it with the blade all the way down, turn your saw on and raise the blade up, and it cuts the exact width of your blade. Comes right out. See, it's kind of dirty on the bottom. It was a great deal. There's several other people making these. I'll drop links in the description below. If you have this type of saw, they even make them for DeWalt's and other type saws. So once you put the cut in there, you can't use this to bevel with, because once you turn that blade and run it back up through there, it's gonna widen that gap and it's gonna render this useless as a zero clearance. So here's the difference. This is the zero clearance. This is the one from the factory. There's a big difference. You can see there's quite the difference between the two. The reason this one's wider, the one from the factory is wider, is because you can do bevels with this one. This one does 90s all the way over to 45 degrees, so you don't have to worry about the blade hitting the throat plate. So if I'm doing bevels, I use this one. They easily interchange. For the most part, this 90 degree zero clearance insert stays in this saw almost 100% of the time unless I'm doing bevels. Then I'll put the factory one back in. So if you've used a table saw very long, you know that with those gaps in there, if I'm just ripping a small piece off of this and after it passes the blade, that little piece sometimes when the blade's turning will actually stick down in there. It'll have you sticking up out of here or it'll go all the way in there. I've even had it actually happen where it goes down in there and jams the blade. And then I have to turn the saw off, remove this, don't look at the dirt. Remove that and get down in this dust collection chute down in here and try to remove those chunks of wood before I can start again. So that's one of the main purposes of this zero clearance. It prevents that from happening. It prevents anything from getting jammed up, kicking back on you as much. Of course, the riving knife helps with that also. I highly recommend leaving a riving knife in there if you have one. But the main thing is it makes a nice clean cut. It doesn't splinter the wood as much because everything is nice and supported on both sides of the blade. Now, let's check out Brother Riv's recommendation on Fast Cap zero clearance tape for the miter saw. So instead of buying a zero clearance insert, I'm gonna try this tape first and see if it does what I need it to. But the only thing is, when you put this tape on, it's 90 degree only. Once you make that bevel cut, same thing as the table saw, it's gonna render that useless. So this is the Delta 26225 If you haven't seen that unboxing video that I did on this saw, go check that out. I'm gonna try to demonstrate this best I can. As you can see, there's a pretty wide gap there when you're making those cuts. So if I'm just cutting off a small piece, sometimes it'll actually go down in there. Did it go in there? Sometimes it'll actually go down in there. We made that cut. It done a pretty good job. I splintered a little there on the end. Now I'm gonna put this zero clearance tape on there, see if it does any good. Like I said, this is Fast Cap. I bought this on Amazon. It's like $8 and it comes with 8 strips of tape. I'll drop a link in the description below to this tape if you want to check that out. It's 2 inches wide by 16 inches long. I've been told this is really good stuff. I was worried about it actually making this stick up further than the edges, but these edges are actually raised slightly from this. So it should make it, oh yeah, it's gonna be almost perfectly flush right there. It's still actually, this is just a tiny bit lower than this, but it's really close to flush. So I actually want it to go under those if I can. Slide it to the back. Ooh, it's sticky. Super sticky. I want to move it over just a slight tidbit. I'm just eyeballing this thing here and get it lined up best I can. So it's like a thick vinyl material. I know you can buy a zero clearance insert for this saw. I've seen those online, but this is a quick, cheap, and easy way to do it. So from what I gather, you just stuck on there. Gotta get that smooth as butter slide going. Check that out. Yeah, baby, yeah. No more pieces falling down in there and getting jammed. That's awesome. I like that. Now, I think that'll tear if you put pressure down in there because it feels like it might. But otherwise, I think it's going to work pretty good. Pretty good clean cut. I didn't have that tear out on the end like I did last time. So I like it. For $8, 8 strips of this tape. So if I use this and I need to bevel and I wind up messing that up, I can pull that off, put another one on there, throw it in the toolbox below. That's a really good deal. Thank you, Brother Riv, for that recommendation. I really appreciate that. Like I said, there'll be links in the description below to that fast cap zero clearance tape. It's a good thick vinyl tape, good and sticky, works really well. Also in the description below, I'll put links to zero clearance inserts on Amazon, as well as Rockler, maybe a couple other places if I can find them that fits your saw. There's tons of them out there for DeWalt, for Deltas, for Milwaukee's. These are a great way to keep your saw a little safer, make those cleaner cuts. I wouldn't recommend using this zero clearance tape on a table saw because you're gonna have to put it on top of the existing throat plate. When you do that, it's gonna put that, this stuff isn't really thick, but you're talking maybe I don't have no way to measure it. This is a piece that I cut off. So it's like a 64th, maybe thick. What that's gonna do is make your material raise up just a tiny bit. And if you're trying to get a good square edge on your rip when you cut it on the table saw, this will throw it off a little bit. I wouldn't recommend using it on the table saw. Miter saw is fine because that throat plate actually sits down in your saw just a little bit, or at least it does on this Delta. If you have ideas for other videos, drop comments below. I take the best ideas and make videos out of them. Hey, I appreciate you watching. If you click that box right there, it takes you to the next set of videos. If you click that box, you're getting that virtual fist bump. This shirt comes from Caruso.com. I'll drop a link in the description below. I always have questions on where I'm getting my shirts. I bought this one. Nobody sponsored me. Good way to show your faith in the public by wearing shirts like this. Thank you for watching. Give you that virtual fist bump one more time. Click that box. Gotta click that box. Get that fist bump.